Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Thursday. Hope the day is well wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Thank you for joining me as always. Plenty to discuss today as we're starting to really gear up towards the weekend's game against Newcastle now. Big game, of course. Still plenty riding on that game for both teams when it comes to Champions League qualification, when it comes to a possible second place finish in the Premier League as well. So we're going to talk about that, some of the sort of decisions facing Mikel Arteta. Obviously, yesterday we got the really good news from open training that the Kai Havertz was back, Declan Rice was there, Leandro Trossard was there, Jorginho was there. Seems rare, doesn't it? I spoke about it in last night's video that I did, that to actually talk positively about injuries for once. Feels like I haven't done that at all this season, but there is good injury news. So we'll talk about what that injury news and that availability could mean for the squad going into that Newcastle game. So got some other questions and comments from you guys. We'll talk about the new kit, which has been released today, which I absolutely love, I have to admit. Wish it had the cannon rather than the badge, but other than that, I think Adidas have pulled out a decent one there. So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about transfers as well, and that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with Joao Pedro, which is an interesting one. Obviously, Sam Dean, who, if you're a Patreon member of Inside Arsenal, you would have seen the first Arsenal press pass show with myself, Sam, and Simon earlier on in this week. So I'm sure this is something we'll talk about with Sam in next week's episode. If you haven't signed up for Patreon yet, just a little plug again, you can do. The link is down below to sign up. £6 a month. £6 a month. And you will get lots of exclusive extra content, including the Arsenal Press Pass show, which is going to be a weekly show with myself, Simon, and Sam. And there'll be other bits and pieces as well come into that, which especially as we head towards the summer. So yeah, click on the link down below or follow the link down below to the Patreon if you want to support Inside Arsenal and get some extra content. So yeah, he has reported yesterday in the Daily Telegraph that Arsenal are one of three clubs who are sort of monitoring Joao Pedro ahead of the summer. And Chelsea and Liverpool begin believed to be among the Brazilians' admirers as well. Interesting one, this. I think, now I really like Joao Pedro. I've talked about him before. I think he's a really interesting player. He's one of those players that every time I watch him, he just catches my eye. I just think, yeah, you've got something about him. You're pretty good. It's just that weird sort of eye thing when you just see a player that some people might not like, but you see him, and every time you watch him, you just see something quite good about them. And he's one of those players. I wouldn't want him to be like first choice Arsenal striker. Say if he's the striker signing, I'd be very underwhelmed by that. I think Arsenal need more than that. I think where I'd be okay with someone like Joao Pedro signing for Arsenal is if he was like the second striker who came in the summer. So you get a Gyökeres, you get a Sesko, but you also get a Joao Pedro, because I think he can play in a few different positions. I think technically he's very, very good. He's got a bit of bite about him, which I know a lot of people don't really like. And he does get himself in some stupid situations that ends up with red cards and things like that, which he'd need to sort out. But I kind of like that nastiness to him a little bit, I have to say. As I said, technically, I think he's a very, very good player. He needs to score more goals from open play, no doubt about that. But I think he's a decent player. So it doesn't feel like one that I'd be overly keen on this summer. I just think Arsenal got so much work to do this summer. They're going to have to spend so much money this summer on a striker, on another attacking player, potentially on a defender, on a midfielder, on a goalkeeper. I just kind of look at Joao Pedro and I look at the money that we know Brighton would demand. They signed him for 30 million. They're going to want at least double that to sell him. Brighton, we know, don't... they're no mugs when it comes to selling players. They get the best possible value for him. And I just feel like for him, for that sort of money, considering what else Arsenal are going to have to do, it doesn't really feel like one that would I don't know, it just doesn't feel right to me. A few of you got in touch talking about it. Jasper here says, Joao Pedro is a very good player, but he's not someone who's going to take our attack to the next level. Maybe he was a signing for previous windows. We need to sign a star there like Williams or Rodrigo, especially with City and Liverpool going after Wirtz, Reinders and all the top players. We have to make sure even we should make top quality additions. Would you prefer Gyökeres and Rodrigo as attacking signings, or Gyökeres, Joao Pedro, an additional attacking midfielder like El Canous? I'd want Gyökeres and Rodrigo. I think if you offer me those options right now, I just think that does take Arsenal's attack to the next level. And I think as long as they don't sell any players, that makes them really, really strong. They have plenty of options in the forward line as well. So that would be what I would go for there. We had one from Hamza who says, Joao Pedro up top until this season was my domestic dark horse as a centre forward pick for us. However, multiple violent issues this season have raised a red flag for me. Same goes for Cunha, talented player, but very questionable attitude. I wouldn't want these anywhere near our club, and especially not at a time like now where our pool is strongest. We can leave the questionable ones to others, which is a really interesting point. As I said, I know a lot of people sort of, some of the incidents with Joao Pedro this season have not left a good taste in people's mouths. And I kind of, I get that, you know, but I like players who have a bit of bite about them, but maybe he has, well, I think he's definitely gone over the edge. The attempted elbow on whoever that was earlier on the season where he missed and somehow didn't get sent off. I mean, he makes contact there. I mean, that's full on assault. So he definitely needs to get that out of his game. It just doesn't feel like one that really excites me, I have to say. Good player, like I said at the start, a player that I like, and I think there's something about him. Every time I watch him, I get that feeling. I just don't feel it's right for Arsenal this summer. I think they need to look at other options. They need to look at stronger options. Players who you think are definitely going to add more goals to this squad. I'm not sure he definitely will. So yeah, decent player, interesting link, but not for me, I have to say. But let me know your thoughts on it all in the comments below. Okay, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the picture of the new kit that's been launched today, officially launched today, with Gabriel Martinelli, Gabriel there, and David Wright. Love that goalkeeper kit, by the way. I think it's really, really smart, that yellow kit. Reminds me of an really old school Liverpool kit from back in the day, that like the 1980s, that goalkeeper shirt. But yeah, I think the home kit's really, really nice. I have to say, I think it's miles better than this season, miles better. I like the collar. I like the detail. If you really sort of look at the detail, I love the old school A, that sort of the pattern on the shirt that runs through it. I love the letter in the Arsenal on the back there above the neck. I do look at that and wonder how long it's going to take for that to peel off, though. I have to admit, I wish it had the cannon rather than the full badge. I think if it had the cannon, it would be an absolute 10 out of 10 shirt for me. I think it's really, really nice. The badge just about drops it down to sort of 9 out of 10 for me, but I do think it's smart and it's miles better than this season. So I'm happy to see that launched. Price is absolutely mad. Just to flag up, actually, I did say for my Patreon members, I was going to pick 2 of the first 100 paid members. We're going to get a shirt for me as sort of the first giveaway on the channel. And I have actually contacted both of them to say they have won. I've already spoken to one called Mark Rowe, who already knows he's won. So congratulations again, Mark, on your shirt. And you said you want Rice on the back, so I'll be getting that for you. I've also contacted the other winner. If you're watching or listening, Robert Lamb, I have direct messaged you on Patreon. I have sent you an email as well, but I haven't had a response from you yet, Robert. You need to get back in touch with me. You've won. You're the other winner along with Mark, and I need your contact details. So get back in touch with me. Reply to my DM or my email. If you haven't seen them already, then log on and have a look, because there's a new shirt waiting for you. You just need to get in touch with me and I'm going to send it over. So congratulations to you two. Mark, you already know that you've won. So well done, mate. Robert, you don't know you've won. If you're watching now or listening now, you do. So get in touch with me so I can send you your shirt. If you didn't win, sorry, your name wasn't drawn out. But as I said, there's going to be regular giveaways. So you're going to have another opportunity to win some Arsenal goodies very, very soon. But this new Arsenal shirt, yeah, out now. You can get it if you want. And I think it's very nice. And they're going to be wearing it on a Sunday against Newcastle for the first time. So we'll get to see the players wearing the kit then. Okay, moving on to some other news. Dean Huijsen, a player that we know Arsenal are interested in, but it looks like he is not going to be coming to the Emirates, as I always suspected would be the case. It always felt like a difficult one, this, for Arsenal to do, because of the time frame, because of how quickly Bournemouth wanted it to be resolved, because of how quickly Huijsen wanted it to be resolved as well, and the other interest in there. It always felt like Arsenal, even though they were interested in him, it was just going to take a bit of time for them to potentially firm up that interest if they even wanted to or not. It was going to depend on what happened with Kivior, all those sort of stuff, I thought anyway. And that there were just going to be other teams better placed to pull the sort of hit the button and get it done now. And it looks like Real Madrid have done that. Real Madrid are his preference. He wanted to go there out of all the interested clubs anyway. Real Madrid have now indicated they were going to pay the release clause, and it could well be wrapped up by the end of today. So no Huijsen for Arsenal. The one sort of knock-on effect of this, you would think, you know, if we were all beginning to worry about a summer where Real Madrid are going to be really chasing Saliba and throwing in bids that Arsenal are going to have to sort of hopefully reject or mull over, and that could be disruptive for the summer, it could be disruptive for William Saliba and his preparations as well. You would think if this deal goes through, which it looks like it will do for 50 million, that they're not going to come knocking for Saliba. And, you know, that gives Arsenal some sort of breathing space really this summer to really get some talks going with Saliba and his agents about getting a new contract sorted. So there is a little bit of a knock-on effect with this move for Huijsen heading over to Real Madrid. Hopefully that means, as I said, a bit of breathing space. Arsenal can now just don't have to worry about bids coming in this summer from Real for Saliba, and they can really get down to business when it comes to this new contract. Okay, just looking ahead to the game against Sunday now. A bit of injury news from both sides, obviously. We have some good news from Arsenal. Newcastle, looks like Sven Botman's not going to be involved. He picked up an injury against Chelsea. Looks like he could be out for the season. I think Joe Willock's out for the game as well. And there was one other player, Kieran Trippier, I think, is out as well. But better news for Arsenal, certainly from the open training session we saw yesterday. Obviously, Kai Havertz making his return, which was great to see. We spoke about that in yesterday evening show that we did. I can't imagine he's going to be starting against Newcastle, even with Mikel Merino being suspended. We might get sort of 20 minutes or so from Kai Havertz, maybe off the bench, if he's considered ready enough to be involved in the squad on Sunday. But better news on Declan Rice, on Leandro Trossard as well. You know, Trossard went off clutching his hamstring against Liverpool. I thought that was done and dusted for Trossard this season. I didn't think we'd see him again, but he was training yesterday, took a full part in the session. So you'd think he's certainly going to be involved in the squad on Sunday, which is a boost given the lack of Mikel Merino. And Declan Rice as well, who missed a trip to Liverpool. Pictured here on YouTube, if you watch, suspiciously looking like he's stretching out his hamstring, which I hope he's not. But because he missed that game against Liverpool with a hamstring issue, but he took a full part in the session yesterday. So you would think he's going to start. You know, I've said we should just wrap Declan Rice up in cotton wool now and don't risk anything in terms of possible injury over the summer. But this is Mikel Arteta we're talking about, so I highly doubt he's going to do that, especially for a game that he really wants to win to guarantee second place in the table. So I think Declan Rice will probably play. Even Jorginho was training yesterday, took a full part in the session, so he could be in consideration for the squad as well. Jurrien Timber wasn't involved at all. So you think he's certainly out for Sunday. So Ben White will have to play right back. And you wonder if we'll see Jurrien Timber again. We think of the sheer amount of football that Timber has played this season, coming into the season off the back of a cruciate ligament injury that wiped out the entirety of last season. He's played so many minutes. I think the fourth most of any player in the squad, which I'm pretty sure at the start of the season, that was not what Arsenal had in their plans for a player coming back from such a serious injury. But because of what's gone on with Ben White this season, Arsenal have been forced into that. Maybe that's just sort of caught up a bit with Timber at the end of this season. So probably unlikely. You would imagine we'll see him again until next season, but we'll wait and see on that. I think the interesting thing's Rice, isn't it? The decision Arteta takes on Rice. You know, do you risk him or not? I think he probably will. As I said, I think the fact that Trossard's there as well, you're going to have Rice, Partey, Rice and Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli and Trossard. And it'll just be interesting to see if we have Martinelli up top or we'll have Trossard on the left or not. Some decisions for Mikel Arteta to make, but some nice decisions because, 2 days ago or 24 hours ago, we were kind of looking at the team who could potentially line up against Newcastle. And all of our thinking was, he could be about 7 or 8 first-team players here. Who's he going to play and what's he going to do? How's he going to shuffle his pack? But if Rice is okay, if Trossard's okay, then, it just makes things so much more comfortable for Mikel Arteta. And it is a big game, no doubt about that. Let me know your thoughts on it, by the way, in the comments below, in terms of what you think Arteta should do, who should play, who shouldn't, what would be your starting 11 for that game against Newcastle. Non-flying Iceman has got in touch and he says, Charles, Rice has to play, not for second, but to seal Champions League. It's not done, as I've been saying for weeks. Let's hope that wasn't all for show and they are all eligible. I would rate our chances with Rice starting in the 8 and front 3 of Trossard, Martinelli and Saka. Take Rice off after 60 minutes and throw Georgie on if fit. Same with Saka in one area, Martinelli and Havertz, or switch Martinelli to the left and replace Trossard with Kai if fit enough. PS, agree, makes a change to have some good luck on the injury fronts. This is such uplifting news and very, very welcome. Yeah, it certainly was. It's nice to talk about good injury news. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It is a big game. I'm not worried about Champions League qualification. I think the Opta probability numbers had Arsenal 99.9% certain to, or 99.9% certainty to reach the Champions League, to qualify for the Champions League. I don't see a way that doesn't happen. I think if Arsenal lost their last 2 games, I still think they get Champions League qualification. But I think, second is definitely up for grabs. And Mikel wants second. You could see how angry he was after Liverpool. He's not ready to let this season just drift in these last couple of games. We might be. Well, you're not, obviously, non-flying Iceman, but Mikel Arteta certainly won't be. And that reaction against Liverpool, after the result against Liverpool, just how angry he was, just shone a light on how much he's still determined to win these final games of the season. And he wants second. If you don't get first, we get second. That's the message from Mikel Arteta. And I think we'll probably see that with his team selection on Sunday. Rizwan has got in touch on this is on the Patreon Discord, and if you do sign up to become an Arsenal Inside Arsenal member on Patreon, you get access to our Discord server, so you can talk to me on there. It's a decent chat group, which is growing, which is great to see. And if you do sign up to become a Discord, you get access to that group, and you can send messages on there to get your questions on the show. Rizwan says, Charles, what's your opinion on how big this summer will actually pan out based on Andrea Berta's track record at Atletico, his complex relationship with Simeone, as well as his reputation for killing transfers based on players' personal lives? I don't really know too much about that reputation, I have to say. We know he was key in signing Rodri, Oblak, Suarez, and more that propelled Atleti into a powerhouse, but also had some costly misfires with Felix, Morata, and Costa's return. I've seen reports that Simeone wasn't 100% on board with Felix at first, while Berta was instrumental in getting the initial deal done. And now with a striker so important for us, we're already starting to hear rumblings of misalignment, with Berta being all in on Gyökeres, where Arteta is more in favour of Sesko. Not sure how true that is. Wondering how you think this will pan out. It's an interesting question, Rizwan. Thanks for it. I actually wrote about this yesterday in my Caught Offside column, in a section of it, talking about the sort of, like you're pointing out there, this sort of feeling of misalignment over the strikers. See, Arsenal are not going to sign someone that Mikel Arteta doesn't want. It's absolutely not the case. If Arsenal end up signing Gyökeres, it's because Mikel Arteta said, okay, fine, we'll sign him. I want him. If he says, I don't want him, they won't sign him. It's as simple as that, no matter what Andrea Berta pushes for. So the two of them, they might have difference of opinions, and it might take a bit of, persuasion. But, if Arteta is absolutely adamant that he's not going to have this player, he won't have this player. So if Gyökeres signs, that won't be a signing that's taken over the head of Mikel Arteta. It's because he has given it the green light. I think it's going to be a big summer. When you say, what's your opinion on this big summer? I think it will be a big summer. I'd be very surprised if it doesn't. I just think it has to be. I think you look at it, you look at where Arsenal are, you look at the frustrations of the last few seasons, you look at missing out, you look at trying to keep this squad together, keeping the current group of players together, convincing them to sign a new contract. I just think Arsenal have to show intent this summer. Absolutely 100%. Other clubs are going to be doing it, and Arsenal need to follow suit. So I do think it will be a big summer. I think that's why Berta's been brought in over everyone else. They see him as an absolute deal maker, someone who just does deals and is very good at it and can do lots of deals and is highly experienced. I don't think he's going to be someone who's coming in and just signing players that Arteta doesn't want or anything like that. I just don't see that happening. There might be disagreements. Well, there will be disagreements. That will come with the territory, but they'll be worked out. And if any signing comes in, it will be a collective agreement rather than anything else. I don't see there being, any sort of big issues or fallouts or anything like that. Mikel Arteta's got such a powerful position at this club now that I don't see Andrea Berta coming in and suddenly being this big disruptor or anything like that. Certainly not initially. Who knows down the line, then cracks might start to appear, but I certainly don't think initially, definitely not this summer. Matt now says the Garcia signing is so smart. Juan Garcia is talking about, obviously, the goalkeeper from Espanyol. Obviously, the planned successor to Raya, having such a highly rated second goalkeeper with Raya is great to secure now. Otherwise, he could easily be snapped up by another club, and we're scrambling around for scraps down the line. While I agree kind of with you, this signing hasn't happened yet. It's not like it's done, so I wouldn't celebrate it just yet. Arsenal want to sign Garcia. They wanted to sign him last summer, didn't get it done. They're hopeful they can get it done this summer, but there's lots of other interest in him. He's had a really good season in Spain, so it's far from a done deal. It's great. It is great to have an excellent second choice goalkeeper if it comes, and I just think we need some stability in that position, because I just can't face another summer where you're having to sign a goalkeeper. It's doing my head in each summer. I still have reservations about spending so much money, but as long as that money does not have any sort of impact on the other business that Arsenal have to do, then fine, do it, get it done. But if spending 25 million on Garcia means that you can't go out and sign a second attacker, for example, because it's definitely not going to interfere with signing a striker. That money's already earmarked. Arsenal know they have to do that. But if it would play a part in stopping them getting maybe who they want as a second choice attacker for this summer window, the new left winger or something like that, that's where I'd be a little bit concerned. So as long as it doesn't have an impact on that, fine, albeit, like you said, get that goalkeeping situation sorted. You've got your natural successor possibly to David Raya, and you've got a really strong second choice, brilliant. But just as long as it doesn't impact any of the other transfer business that Arsenal have to do. And that's it for me today, everyone. Thank you very much for watching or listening. As always, I really do appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow. We've got the morning show. Then I'm going to be heading off to London Colney, so I'll probably do something after that for the press conference, which is at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon with Mikel Arteta. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everyone. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.